Happy spooky season. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm wearing this spooky skull moon shirt that I made. I guess I made it. I bought this long sleeve from like Ross or something, and then I sewed the little moon patch on. I love October. Anyways. You guys seem to like my video reacting to Am I the Asshole? Questions on Reddit as related to like goth, emo, alternative fashion. Some of you guys requested a part 2, so here I am. There's plenty of these and I actually really like reading them. I think they're really interesting, so let's get into the questions. Am I the asshole for helping my little cousin be goth? My cousin is 12 and a half and the youngest in her family. She has a lot of pressure on her to live up to the academic success of her siblings as well as be the family baby. Something about her seemed off and I remembered how hard it was to be her age, so one day I asked her what was up. And she expressed to me that while she was appreciative of the things her mom and family got for her, she's really more into darker stuff. We got to talking and I showed her a lot of the stuff from my old emo phase and my current goth stuff and she loved it. I talked to her mom about it and she basically agreed, whatever makes her happy as long as it's appropriate. Okay, sounds good so far. I don't totally want to get into it, but this kid has been through hell and back. Way more than any girl her age should handle, so I've been happy to step in as a role model and someone who understands what it was like to be 12 and need to rebel against all that shit that happened to you in a safe and self-expressive way. I can tell her mom isn't always completely understanding of what's going on, but she's happy her daughter is happy. We go online shopping and do art together and talk about bands, and overall it seems to be making her really happy. I recently learned, though, that the rest of her family feels like I'm ruining her. They're trying to advise her mom to keep me away from her because I'm a bad influence. Sometimes I do worry I'm not doing the right thing. I'm scared she might stumble on something she shouldn't online while looking for clothes, or get too into the edgy side and it will be my fault for leading her there. I definitely didn't mean to ruin their image of her. That's not the goal at all. I just want her to have a safe and healthy emo goth phase if that's what makes her happy. I don't mean to force her into a mini version of me or anything like that. Am I overstepping? Am I the asshole? Of course you're not the asshole. I mean, sometimes the younger cousins can think that like whatever the older cousins are doing is cool and they can kind of emulate them for better or worse. It can be kind of easy to like accidentally get them into something, but I think in this case it sounds like this little girl does genuinely think it's cool and it's making her happy, and it also says the mom is fine with it. It's just the rest of the family that thinks there's a problem. Don't let them judge you. You're not ruining her. So many people go through emo phases when they're younger. I think it's totally fine and totally normal. There's nothing wrong with alternative fashion. There's nothing wrong with emo, goth, alternative music. For the most part too, it is like a positive culture as far as I've experienced. People who don't know anything about these kind of like subcultures just kind of assume it's all bad and edgy and dark and angry, but I feel like I've found nothing but positivity in the alternative community. Kindness, acceptance. I feel like people who are outside of that don't really realize it. They just see dark colors and spikes and dark eyeliner and think something negative, but most of the time that's not the case, and I literally just think that this family is judgmental because they don't really know enough about goth and alternative and emo stuff. My parents didn't want me to be emo at all when I was around 12. They forbid me from wearing dark clothes. I think I talked about this in my last one of these, but my family was like that too, even a little bit into my adulthood, and then they finally kind of just accepted me, and that's just kind of how it works. You said your little cousin has been through really hard times. Becoming a goth is definitely one of the healthier coping mechanisms for going through dark stuff. There can be really unhealthy things you can get into after going through trauma, but simply dressing goth is like a very fine and healthy thing to do. They should just be grateful that this young girl has found like a community and kind of a niche that she's happy with. So no, you're not the asshole. Am I the asshole for forcing my son to shave his head? My son, 19, has always had short hair. I have always made sure that he gets his hair cut to an acceptable length, and he never had any complaints about it before. I don't see anything wrong with this, as I am the same with his other siblings as well. I just want them to look smart and presentable. Okay. However, lately he has been going through a goth phase. He always wanted dark clothes, guy liner and jewelry, and absurd hairstyles. But now that he's older now, and has his own money, he has started getting a bit more rebellious and has started dressing the complete opposite of the way he normally dresses. I have given in a lot when it came to the clothes, allowing black ripped jeans and horror t-shirts, but I always drew the line at really long sweaters and certain things that look more like they are made for women. Okay, I'm getting maybe some homophobia going on. He has always had anxiety and self-confidence issues, so I just want to avoid any bullying about him looking like a girl. This then continued to his hair as well, and he started growing it out. As many people know, when going from a really short hairstyle to something long, there's a point in time where it starts to look really messy. A few of my friends mentioned how messy his hair looks, but I assured them it was just a phase and that he'd be back to his usual self in no time. But he didn't go back. The hair got longer and messier, and I even heard a few of his weird friends saying he looked adorable with the messy hair. Okay, so you're worrying about him being bullied, and then you cite an example of his friend group saying that he looks good. Clearly he's doing fine socially. Anyways, eventually I lost my patience and told him he either fixed his hair or started tying it up. He complained that it would look stupid tied back as it isn't long enough yet, but I was persistent about it. We had no barbers as this was during lockdown, but I was more than happy to cut his hair myself. A few months ago, he came to me and asked me to shave his hair off, like I'd done with his brother. His brother was really happy with how his hair turned out. I complied. Immediately afterwards, my son started wearing a beanie all the time, even in the house. He refuses to take it off. Last night, we had an argument, and he brought up how disgusting and ugly he felt with short hair and how I'd taken away the one thing he actually liked about himself. I don't understand this. I think all my children are beautiful. He also brought up how his friends' parents let them express themselves and didn't judge them for their appearance. I tried to argue that I was just looking out for him. He'd been so happy since starting college, and I didn't want that to be ruined by bullies. He has a very feminine face, and long hair will just cause confusion and get him picked on. He left and hasn't spoken to me all day today. I think he's overreacting, especially considering it was him that came to me and asked me to shave his head. But my husband thinks I've been a little harsh. Am I the asshole? I don't really think he came to you and asked you to shave his head. We have to keep in mind, like, who wrote this. It's obviously coming from a biased perspective. I think you might have coerced him into letting you shave his head is probably a little bit more accurate because it's very clear from everything else you're saying that he did not want that at all. You're really caught up in your son's appearance, and you need to just, like, take a step back and maybe focus on what's inside and is he being a good, kind person. Just let him express himself. He's 19, he's in college already. At that point, like, it's out of your hands completely. Like, you have no say in how he looks. If bullying does become a problem, then they can come to you. They can come to you with that problem, and then you guys can talk about, I don't know, how to stop that. But clearly it's not a problem. Clearly he has friends. And this thing about you being so worried about him looking too feminine, this isn't when you grew up. Times are different. I'm pretty sure you're the only one that thinks they look too feminine. Most people, especially like college age people these days, are very aware there's nothing wrong with femininity on a man. It's not high school, it's college. There's a lot more variety of how people dress. At least that was my experience in college. You're projecting a lot of insecurity onto him that you have, and you need to take a step back and let your son live his life. He's a grown adult. So yeah, you're the asshole. Yes, you are the asshole. Am I the asshole for wanting to buy alternative clothes? My mom, 51 female, and my friend, 18 female, are saying I'm being ridiculous and I want a second opinion. Throw away because I'm embarrassed. So basically, I, 17 female, had a very intense emo phase in middle school. You know, the combat boots, arms full of Hot Topic wristbands, choker necklaces, the works. My middle school had a uniform, so I really went all out on the rare occasion I got to wear normal clothes. I was pretty cringe, but hey, it's middle school. Everyone is cringe. I was also ruthlessly bullied in middle school, and when I moved on to high school, I really tried to be more normal because my friend group was falling apart and I wanted to fit in. Throughout high school, it was just kind of something I was still interested in but didn't talk about. I still listened to the music, but I stopped dressing accordingly. My high school also had uniforms, so that's what I wore. And even on our free dress days or outside of school, I stopped putting any effort into my appearance. I just wore t-shirts and jeans for most of high school. I graduated this past spring and I'll be going to college in a few weeks. Over quarantine, I also decided that when I go to college, I want to actually put effort into my appearance and wear things that make me feel confident. My parents gave me $500 for clothes and shoes, a coat, etc. I know that seems like a lot, but I hardly have any clothes because I always wear uniforms. I wanted to spend about 150 of the 500 to get some alt clothing and spend the rest on normal staple pieces. I also like dresses, so I got a few of those. So I wouldn't be spending all the money on emo clothes or limiting my wardrobe. I bookmarked some pieces that I liked and showed my mom, asking her if she thought they were cringy. She got a disgusted look on her face and asked if I really wanted to look like that on campus. She said that I can buy it if I really wanted to, but was being passive aggressive about it, and I felt guilty. I got a little angry and told her she should be a little more open to other people's interests and what makes others confident. In the past, she has tried to pick my clothes, but we have vastly different styles and body types, and her clothes never looked or felt good on me. I felt like she just didn't want me to buy what I wanted. Later that night, I talked to a friend that I knew in middle school about it, specifically how I was sad about my mom's reaction. She sided with my mom, saying that I was pretty cringy in middle school. I tried to explain to her that it wouldn't be like middle school. I felt like the pieces I picked were more mature and subtle than what I wore in middle school. I told her that it hurt my feelings, that she sided with my mom. She told me to stop being so sensitive. Now I feel self-conscious and embarrassed. Part of me doesn't want to worry about clothes and just go back to t-shirts and jeans all the time. So Reddit, am I the asshole? No, of course you're not the asshole for wanting to dress a certain way. I had a very similar experience. I had an emo phase in middle school, and I completely stopped dressing emo at all in high school. I don't know, I wanted to fit in, and then my alternative phase definitely came back hardcore in college. I really went all out in college. I would wear like trip pants and demonia boots to class sometimes, just because I never got to dress like that before, and I was really like letting it all out. And it was fun, and I have absolutely no regrets. I think I looked cool. I still dress like that, and I think it's sick. This is just another case of people not understanding alternative and goth fashion. Some people just don't get it. I think definitely stick to how you feel about this and spend that money. They gave that money to you, so spend it. Spend that little chunk of it on the alternative clothes that you want. Ignore what your mom and your friend are saying. There's also all this stuff about being cringy. Your friend thinks you're cringy. Literally just don't worry about being cringy. College is a good time to experiment with your personal style and your aesthetic and stuff like that. Literally just forget about being too cringy. You know, it's not middle school, it's not high school. People are more grown up. They're not gonna think you're cringy, especially if you're just wearing like some basic alternative pieces. Like after middle school and high school, I feel like cringe is dead. There's a little update here saying that this person had a talk with their mom and they kind of came to understand each other a little bit more, and the mom is gonna let them get some alternative stuff. So that's great. That's like the ideal situation from this, right? And as for the friend, I mean, if you want to keep the friendship with this person, you can try to have a similar talk with them, but honestly, I feel like friends especially should support you like no matter what. There's no reason your friend should be telling you that you're gonna be too cringe or whatever. I hope you got the clothes and you wore them and you looked awesome. Alright, that's gonna be about it. I hope you guys like this. I could probably find even more if you guys ever wanted more parts, but this is what I got for now. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.